We're going to Amsterdam's! And since it's a wonderful bike-friendly city, we're gonna take our bicycle with us.
Stand on a chair to get down the bike to take you to Amsterdam. Get in a cab, drive through a rich neighborhood, drive next to this cool bridge, sit in the back of the Uber, which is way nicer than your own car. Get to the airport. They have a really fantastic shiny tile floor. Wrap the bike in plastic and turn it into the gate person, who will then tag it to go to Amsterdam. Take the train to the airplane, make sure you have your passport, inspect the airplane as you walk on to make sure that everything seems okay, entertain yourself for the 6.5-hour flight to Amsterdam, land in Amsterdam, and remark to yourself that light blue is a wonderful color for planes. The bike arrived in the same odd shape that it was when you
most awkward package.
Walk to the train, put the bike on the train, meet up with Milan for some Thai food.
Early the next morning.
Take the pocket selfie drone out of your pocket, set it down in the grass for its maiden flight. Send it high into the air right outside of the Airbnb, being super careful not to piss off any of the old people walking their dogs in the hours of the early morning. Recognize that this is going to be the greatest day, armed with bicycles and drones to explore the city. Milan has to rent a bicycle from a bike shop because he didn't bring his own. Before you leave the bike shop, test out the latest fashion in weird Biciologicalery. It's a word. Look it up. Or don't, because it actually doesn't exist. Just like this bicycle shouldn't exist. But it does. I know it does, because I rode it. Once Milan has his bicycle, it's time to get out and see the city. Trailing Milan on the bike is easy. It's almost impossible to lose him in a crowd, as he is the only one wearing a bright yellow jacket and a white fuzzy hat that can be seen from space. The first thing that you notice about Amsterdam when riding out from the center of the old city is that there are canals everywhere. Built in the 17th century, during the Dutch Golden Age, the canals were originally meant as a defense mechanism against people who couldn't swim more than 300 meters. These people were probably very hairy. The canals form concentric belts around the city, known as gradualreport. Alongside the main canals are 1,500 monumental buildings, 90 islands, and 1,500 bridges, of which Milan and I probably crossed 65. I'd say, over the course of 3 days. Some of the famous inhabitants who used to live along the canal were Anne Frank, John Adams, Daniel Fahrenheit, Heinrich Schliemann, and Maximilian I, a holy emperor. Milan and I rode by all of their really famous houses without even knowing that their famous houses used to house them. Looking back on it now, I can't imagine I was that close to where a holy Roman emperor used to sit on a toilet. Next we step into perhaps my favorite part of the day. Sitting down on a bench and eating what can only be described as waffles covered in Nutella, covered in maple syrup, covered in deliciousness. We eat with a fork that has one jagged edge, which is also a knife or saw blade. It's an ingenious invention that I'm not entirely sure the Danish came up with, as I've seen it elsewhere in the world, but it is a very effective and efficient tool to eating waffles. Waffles. Delicious waffles. Yes, waffles.
How many calories is this, you think?
I don't know.
I hear that if you eat the native food of the country it's from in that country, calories only count as half.
Really?
Science.
They know how to make them.
Yeah. Scientifically proven. I think Stephen Hawking wrote a paper. R.I.P. R.I.P. Stephen.
It is really good.
Is it?
Yeah.
After every last morsel of the waffle was devoured with extreme pleasure, Milan and I got back on our trusted horse and rode deep into the native parklands. Vondel Park is the largest park in the city and is named after the 17th century Amsterdam author Just van der Dondel. Annually, almost 4.5 million people visit the park, which is the size of 1,000 hectares and is approximately 3 times the size of Central Park. One of my favorite things to do in any city is to sit on a bench and watch the entire world go by. I always wonder to myself, I wonder where they're going, I wonder what they're doing, what lives do these locals have? What could possibly be so important that they push themselves to move faster than the crowd? Maybe they're late for a fancy dinner party. Maybe they're going home. Maybe they've forgotten it's their anniversary to tell their wives they're going to get divorced. Which of these people is going to walk in on their lover making love to another lover? And that pretty much rounds up the first day. Parks and canals are nice, but that's not really what comes to mind when people say Amsterdam. When people hear Amsterdam, at least the young teenagers snickering in the back of classrooms, they're thinking about one thing and one thing alone: drugs. Mountains of drugs and how it's legal there. Well, do join us on our next episode as we dive deep into the seedy underbelly that is the tolerated drug market of Amsterdam. I love you, my little lemon drops. I'll see you soon. Kisses and hugs and touches on your face. Okay? Okay. I love you. Bye-bird. Bye-bird. Bee-bird.
Yabba dabba doo.